Ejay'S podcast. Let's go. Welcome to Ejay'S podcast. On this episode, I am very excited to bring you the new year with a very important topic, a subject that people really shy away from. Today, we'll be talking religion. Religion in the sense that how has religion been affecting Africa? How has it affected us as individuals? How are people taking religion? Are they serious about it? Do people even mind or care about religion? So today I have on my right,
Aquila.
Mr. Aquila. It's really lovely to have you on the show. Thank you very much for coming. And on my left,
My name is Leia Adetunji.
thank you, Mr. Lai, for coming. First of all, to start with, Mr. Aquila, why do you think religion is so important to African people?
Wow, that's a very deep question. You see, religion is everybody. Once you look for a solution in different things, and you can't find the solution, especially in the government, you look for higher power, spiritual power, to draw your solution from. When you look at the situation of the continent, we have a lot of problem in terms of people, the political problem in the continent.
Yes.
Poverty in the land.
Very, very much.
And instead of people going to the hospital because they don't have money, they just resort to the church and for prayers so that God can touch them, and everybody wants to draw power from some spiritual source or the other. So it's very important for Africa, as a whole. Religion is very important. Because of the problem of poverty in the land. That's it.
So he's saying poverty in the land, Mr. Lay. There is poverty in the land, quite all right, and people are resorting to religion. How do you think religion has helped? Has religion done anything? Has it helped to reduce poverty? Has it affected people in Africa in any way at all?
Well, thank you for that question. I think religion has its positive effects,
Yes.
and also has its negative effects. And of course, let's not also forget the fact that even before this so-called religion, Muslim, Christianity came to Africa, we've had our own traditional thing.
Yeah,
that we
our traditional ways of- yes,
So
yeah.
we're deeply, rooted in this thing, you wanting to consult higher power, just like Mr. Abdullah mentioned. We have that in our genes.
Yes.
So when it was also introduced to us, Christianity in particular was introduced to us, we embraced it because
Yes.
it was actually in our genes. Now, has it improved the situation? Has it made it worse? There are two sides to it.
Yes.
Now, it has improved us in terms of the fact that it has actually helped the way in which a lot of people, let me say, that they've prospered. I mean, all over the world, Nigeria in particular, people know our churches.
Yes.
I mean,
very popular churches.
I mean,
We're actually global now.
Global.
Worldwide,
I
yeah.
mean, if you look at the negative image that we have, that in a way has actually given us a positive image. I mean, in the terms of the fact that we are quite spiritual, and it has drawn a lot of foreigners into the country.
And attention,
I
yeah.
mean, you get the amount of money that many of these mega churches make in their annual events that they come. I mean, that's in itself, that's tourism.
I like the point that you're making about the big churches being known worldwide.
Yeah.
But also, people will argue and say religion is setting us back as Africans. Religion is setting us back in the sense that when you go to the Western world, the Scandinavian countries, for example, country that we're in right now, people are not religious, yet the government is working perfectly fine. So these people will argue and say, oh, we don't really need religion. Why should we be religious? Why should we believe in anything when everything is working fine for us?
Well, we would not say that religion has set us back. When we talk about religion, religion it's not just the name, it's the people. It's a practice. So it has not set us back. We will not say it has set us back. We'll just say that, the practice of religion is just by different people, is done in different ways.
Different ways, yes.
And in those ways, it's affecting those individuals, the way they practice them. In Western world, the government, things are working well.
Yes.
And people don't really need to resort to
Religion.
they don't need to resort to any god in order for them to get anything. They don't
life
even.
is just standard.
Yeah, they don't even need to pray for breakthrough because they believe that once you are very intelligent and you're focused, and you get things done. But so in terms of religion in Africa, I think the practice of religion in Africa is different by different churches, different people.
Yes.
And Islam has its own practice.
Yes.
Christianity have their own practice.
Yes.
But when you see, let me just go to Christianity. When you look at Christianity, you will see that in a lot of churches, you will find the highest number of hypocrites. Hypocrites. Like, if you're looking for them, hypocrites in general, go to the church. Because a lot of people are just going to the church for one purpose or the other. Everybody does not have a unified reason for being there. You see, religion, if you want to practice religion in spirit and in truth, you have to have a unified reason. But the problem is that a lot of hypocrites are just in the church. So many pastors are hypocrites, members are follow suit, and you will get wrong results when hypocrites are in the church. If you see normal people in the world, and you see a smoker outside, who is in the world, he will smoke, and when he's walking towards you as a person that he knows, he will even puff the smoke. And he won't hide it. He won't hide it.
You know,
exactly, will let you know that he's smoking. But when you see a Christian who is smoking outside or who is with alcohol outside, and he sees you coming, he just hides you. Even though let's stay on the alcohol. If you see a church member with alcohol outside, who just hide it, even though he has to believe in his heart that it's not so bad.
Yes.
But he doesn't. He just hides it.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the church,
he's holy and now.
So how can you get a good result from people like that? Hypocrites. Go and look for them, brother.
Yes.
They are in the church. So that's why it's affecting the society.
Yes.
That's
so people are not really practicing in honesty.
Not only Christianity. Even Islam.
Yes.
Even Islam, you will see a lot of imam who say one thing
and practice the
other. So they say one thing, practice the other in their bedroom and all that.
Yes,
so you just realize that there's so much hypocrisy rather in the land. So it is very important for us to note this when we talk about religion, the practice. Are they really practicing it in truth
and
honesty? So it's very important for us to look into that.
I'm very interested about the hypocritical behavior that you mentioned. Mr. Leah, he's saying hypocrites in the church and all that. But I would be of the belief that the most or the major hypocrites when it comes to religion are the leaders in the church. Okay. Be it Islam, be it Christianity, the imams like he mentioned, or the big pastors. So, when the people on top are hypocrites themselves, how are the people supposed to get better?
But let's not forget the fact that before the leaders became leaders, they were followers. So the leaders, we get the truth is this, that we get leaders that are a product of a reflection of the system that we have. So the leaders that you say that they are hypocrites, they were once followers. All right, so which transformed into leaders overnight. But one of the worst problems in Africa is the practice of religion. It is not being practiced very well. Now let's go back to the basics about what basically is religion. It has lost its definition. People just like Mr. Aquila mentioned earlier on, people venture into religion because they want to. Because the government has failed.
Yes.
You understand? So people go into that not simply because they want to serve God, not simply because
for self-benefit.
It's just because an escape from your economic hardship. You're thinking that that's where the solution.
So religion is the result. Is the solution now.
It's a wrong practice of religion in Africa. That's the reason why we are saying what we are saying. Because the true faith and true practice of religion is meant to bring about a reformed society. If you look at it from the Bible, you realize that people that truly followed God, I mean, it led to, first of all, a transformation of their lives.
Yes, themselves.
I mean, that is true practice of religion.
Yes.
Going from Bible definition.
Mm.
Now, once that definition is lost, you get everything totally wrong.
Yes.
So that is where the problem is. And it comes from the wrong doctrines that is coming from the church, the kind of wrong leaders that we are having, people that don't even have a calling in the first place.
Calling, that's something we're actually
you
going to
understand? People
talk about as well.
that do not have a calling in the first place, that are venturing into church matters, that are venturing into religion, just in a way to enslave people. You understand?
Yes.
So that they can actually, make a slave of people and, get wealthy at the expense of people. Not simply because they want to serve people. Because if you become a religious, Jesus Christ mentioned, he said that the one that is going to be the leader is going to be the one that is going to serve.
Yes.
You understand? Now, the one that is leader is the one that is wanting to be served.
Instead of being the servant.
You get it. So that is where those are fundamental flaws in the practice of religion in Africa that needs to be corrected. Once those issues are not corrected, we will still continue to do the same or the same.
So he's saying, religion is basically people are trying to escape the economical hardship. I will think, or I believe that, being a leader of the church or owner of the church, the finances, the way the money has been managed, that is a big problem. When a church, somebody owns a church and all that. Don't you think it'll be better if there's a way that the government are able to, manage these churches, the income and everything, and people are held accountable for this, for the financial aspect of churches?
Well, I would not say that.
Of religious institutes.
Yeah, when we talk about money, the money issue, for example, in England, they have a body formed by the government.
Yes.
That you have to report annually to.
For auditing.
Your financial statement for the year.
Yes.
You need to let them know what you have made and what you have spent and all that, for transparency's sake.
Yes.
And this is okay, but we have other spiritual matters too.
Yes.
That needs to be looked into and
yes.
regulated. We have, of course, we have religious bodies who actually should be actively
taking care of
checking all these things. We have pastors today who have buried somebody in the church. We have
people to come.
Exactly. Yeah, we have pastors who are preaching something totally different from the Bible, and they call themselves Pentecostal and all that. But we have religious bodies who call themselves a religious body,
An association who's supposed to take care of
exactly, who's supposed to take care of all these things. So we have all these churches who are just there operating
independently with nobody
checking them nothing, and they are making a killing, making money, making a lot of errors, building people who are going to be
become problematic tomorrow
to the society. So we have this body that needs to be regulating this thing, but they are not. I don't think they are really doing their
They
job.
hardly function, to be
Exactly,
honest.
and the government, when it comes to spiritual matters, the government don't understand. They cannot meddle. They cannot
Can't really interfere.
They can't interfere into anything like that. But when we talk about money, there should be audit yearly
For them to be
for
accountable.
them to be accountable. You know why? I bring my tithe to the church.
Yes.
You bring your tithe to the church.
Yes.
Then we have a pastor who is the head, who determines what the tithe should be used
with. Yes.
should be used for.
Yes.
Now, if the pastor decides that the tithe is going to be used to build a mansion for himself,
No question.
no question. So, but if the church thinks, we need a new microphone, we need a new this for the propagation of the gospel, then who will hold the pastor, who holds the church accountable? Nobody. But if we have the government body who comes yearly, or who they should report yearly, checks their account, and see, okay, are they,
Yeah.
and they see that,
What's going on?
and they see that 50,000 is going to a suit, $100,000 is going to a shoe, watches, and all that. Then the pastor should answer for that.
He has to be accountable.
Because members cannot do this by themselves.
Mm.
Nobody can look up into the eyes of pastors and say, hey,
What did
why
you
are you
do?
wearing 20,000 wristwatch? Why are you wearing 100,000?
And this is the new trend now.
This is the
This
trend.
is the new trend.
Everybody,
Pastors
everybody
Oh my
wants to
God.
Gucci upon Gucci, Prada upon Prada. You're a pastor,
A pastor
all
who's
based
supposed
on
to be
the size of the members.
Well, these are very important things to really look into, especially when it comes to the matter of the. But I always wonder, why is it or how is it that the church continues to thrive when the poverty level in the land is increasing? The church still thrives. There are new churches every corner. Like I don't know about other African countries, but in my own country where I'm from, every next corner there is a church. And yet, there's poverty level increasing by the day.
Now, I would, take a different opinion from what Mr. Apula mentioned
Yes.
as regards, meddling in the affairs of the church. I would always tread on the path of caution. Because number one, the church is a sacred entity.
Yes.
And I think it should be treated as such. When it comes to the issue of church management, there should be a way in which, and this is where a lot of churches are failed back in Africa. There's no proper education as to church management. How to manage a church. A lot of people that go into church management, a lot of them actually, it's not as if some are called, some don't have the education to actually manage the church.
And there are some who call themselves.
So there are some who call themselves. So it's a complex combination of so many issues. But even aside you having a calling, you should actually submit yourself to some form of education, because we should not actually rubbish the church as a church that cannot actually regulate itself. If you look at a business entity, for example, you start the business, you are growing, you need to put checks and balances in how you manage. If you don't, the business will collapse.
Yes.
So the same way should actually be, the same method should actually be applied in the church management. Now, when it comes, why I said the church should be left as a sacred entity and should be left so, because I believe strongly that the church, even though you are wrongly managing the affairs of the church, God will judge you.
So you have to believe that we should let the judgment be from God.
The judgment.
We cannot wait for
God
to do it.
Cannot.
Because I think it'll take a long
Now,
time.
the thing is, is you. The Bible makes mention of the fact that God is not slow in pronouncing judgment, as some of us think. You understand? All times are in His hands. You understand? And He's going to pronounce judgment on whoever. Even the judgment of the land, do you think that it is even the right judgment? It might not even be. You understand? It might even be, colored with some sentiment or the other. But one thing I would always stand on is that church will self-regulate itself.
Why have they not self-regulated themselves till now? They have not brought a good result in all those
Self-regulation.
They have not. We have seen so far, nothing has been done. Nothing has changed. They have not. We have seen. The problem continues. What I stand on, church spiritual matters should be left for the church.
Yes.
Should be left. Spiritual matters should be left, but money matters.
I think so.
Money
This is where the major problem comes.
Exactly. Money is the root
of all
evil. And when money is, is going into wrong hands in the churches, and is being mismanaged, and you are saying you are waiting for God, then we should not even have government.
So everybody should just wait for the judgment.
Everybody should just be doing whatever they do and waiting for God to judge everybody. You get the point? That is why we have institutions. That's why we have court of law. That is why we have all these places. so that people can be put in check and balances. So that because human beings, when you give them power, they can misuse it when it's unchecked.
Very true, very true.
And some of these big pastors, they have been given the power by the people, and it's been left unchecked. And this, some of these big pastors some of them don't know, they can't know a lot of things going on the ground.
On the ground, yes, because they're not even paying attention.
Exactly, but when they have an external body who's helping them to just the finances, to know the reports, they know everybody. Transparency is very, very important. It helps the righteousness of the church also.